Alrighty guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about this entry, but what I used to create it. Now, I love watercolor, so this is mostly watercolor here. I did not prep my page, and it's been closed for a few days, and it's still a little crinkly, so just have to be okay with that being crinkly. Now, this is the set I use almost every time I Bible journal. It's the one I sell in my shop. It's Pelican, and I absolutely love it. It's, they're not translucent watercolors, they are opaque. And so they give you a little bit, that comes off to wash it clearly. I need to do that. They give you a more vibrant color, so I like these a lot. They really are helpful when it comes to making these galaxies, which is another one of my favorite things. Now you see me use this set, and that's what this mostly is. So I alternate between water, my one paintbrush, which this is just this is a very, basic brush. It's not special. It's a very cheap brand. So any cheap brand, round tip. This one is specifically a size 7. So I alternate between doing that and my heat gun. And this one I think is kind of an old one. I got it at a garage sale. But I alternate, I want it to get done faster and play with it, so I use my heat gun a lot in this video. And here, when it comes to doing the galaxy, I know from experience now that if I want to get a good galaxy, I have to put the paint on really thickly. And so over here, I really like the word to still be readable. It's one of my personal goals. And so I knew I couldn't do a nice galaxy and keep the word readable. I've just done it too many times now. So I did my thicker paint up here in my margin and then kind of let it gently come into the word, which you can still read. Like, it gets like multitude and swaddling is a little challenging to read, but for the most part you can still read it very, very easily. Now, there's a little bit of a splotchy texture. I used salt while the paint was wet, and then I dried it with my tool, and as soon as it was dry, you could just wipe off the salt, and it gives you like this nice splotchy texture, and I love it. It's just like an element of depth. And so I just played with it throughout the video, and then one of the final things I did was use this Uniball pen. Let me show you the back side real quick. So you can see where I used the black thickly here and up here. It's kind of shadowy, but for the most part, it really doesn't interfere with what I want to do on the other page. But this pen, the Uniball pen, is really great. Oh goodness, it's almost out of ink. I use it a lot. The only thing about these, this was all dry, and you can even see I use it here, and I like bleed it up a little bit, so you can use it a little bit in watercolor. Of course, when I did the lettering here, it was completely dry. You didn't get to see that in the video because it came later. It was one of those things where I needed a break and I couldn't add anything until I had a second. But these can be kind of messy, and so if you're not careful in your writing, it's so easy to smudge. And if you don't hold your page down and you lift this away and your page crinkles a little bit, it'll get everywhere. So if you're going to use these really awesome Uniball pens, which they also have like gold ink, you just have to be careful with them because they are a little bit messy. But other than that, the white that I actually used here was my white in my set, my watercolor, which I actually usually use acrylic white when it comes to doing the stars, but it worked out nicely this time. So that's what I did. And to talk about the composition just for a minute, I thought about this idea for several days before I did it. I love galaxies. I always try to work them in. But I wanted it to flow visually, and so I wanted it to be like dark, then to light, then dark, then to light. And so I know your eyes, they like to dance around, so I tried to have it flow down. And before I put the letters there wasn't a very good flow, and then once I wrote something there, which just says a baby in a manger, it flowed. It looked perfect, and it tied in well with the silver I did there, and so I'm very happy with how it ended. The shepherds aren't great by any means, but they're supposed to kind of look like blobs, like the sheepies look kind of like blobs. So I'm very overall happy with the final portion of this entry after I added the words, because it flows. You got to remember, your eye likes movement. It likes to dance around, but it can't be chaotic. It has to have a flow. And so I think I did well with the flow. Anyways, so this video is one of 3 in a series, and in one of them I did the actual watercolor video. The link for that one is in the description, and then I actually did a little devotional on Luke 2 about how to make your Bible come alive when you're reading it, and that description video is also in the description. So if you liked this one, give me a thumbs up and follow my channel. Thanks, ladies!